This man waving to you is none other than Babur himself. But Babur isn't alone. Behind him stand 12,000 armed men, ready for battle. The date is April 21, 1526. On one side stands Babur, leading his mighty force. On the other stands Ibrahim Lodi, the Sultan of Delhi. The stage is set for one of the most defining battles in Indian history. Ibrahim Lodi wasn't alone either. He too had an army, not a small one, but a massive force of nearly 1 lakh soldiers. Yet numbers alone don't decide victory. Babur's army may have been smaller, but it was far more advanced. They carried superior military equipment. Well, not machine guns as shown here, but weapons and tactics far ahead of their time. With clever strategy, discipline, and the power of innovation, Babur's 12,000 defeated Ibrahim Lodi's mighty 1 lakh, and that victory marked the beginning of the Mughal Empire in India. This was the first of the 3 battles of Panipat. Babur ruled for about 4 years after his great victory. During his reign, several significant events took place. One of them, recorded in some historical and local traditions, relates to Ayodhya. According to certain accounts, in 1528, a mosque was built there by his general Mir Baqi. Many believe this mosque was constructed at the site traditionally revered as the birthplace of Lord Ram. Babur's reign, though brief, left a deep mark on India's history. Among his 4 sons, his eldest, Humayun, was his chosen heir. When Humayun fell ill, Babur is said to have prayed that the illness be transferred to him. Soon after, Humayun recovered while Babur's health declined, leading to his death in 1530. A sacrifice remembered for centuries. Amidst the chaos, Babur's eldest son Humayun took the throne. He was just 23, young and untested, stepping into an empire built by war and about to face storms of his own. Humayun ruled for the next 10 years after his father's death. In those 10 years, he proved to be a kind and gentle ruler, but not always a wise one. He trusted too easily, divided his empire among his brothers, and often delayed decisions, waiting for the stars to favor him. Yet his heart was pure. By 1540, his growing rival, Sher Shah Suri, was ready to strike. Sher Shah Suri soon rose as Humayun's greatest enemy and ultimately defeated him, driving him off the throne of Delhi. With his empire lost, Humayun had no choice but to flee, beginning a long and painful exile. But after 15 long years of exile, Humayun finally rebuilt an army and reclaimed the throne he had lost. Victory was his again, but only for a moment. Just 1 year later, he met a tragic end, slipping and falling down the steps of his library, leaving the empire in the hands of his young son, Akbar. After Humayun's death, a 13-year-old Akbar became emperor. In his early years, he was guided by Bayram Khan, who protected the throne and won battles for him. As Akbar grew older, he took control himself, removed Bayram Khan, and began shaping the empire with his own strength. He expanded the kingdom, made alliances with Rajputs, and built a stable, powerful administration. Curious about different religions, Akbar held regular debates in his court and even introduced a new spiritual idea called Din-e-Ilahi, meant to promote peace and tolerance. Under his rule, the Mughal Empire reached its peak, but in 1605, after decades of conquest and reforms, Akbar passed away in Agra, leaving behind one of the strongest empires India had ever seen. After Akbar, his son Jahangir became king. His rule saw both stability and rising tensions. During his reign, Guru Arjan Dev, the 5th Sikh Guru, was arrested, tortured, and executed on Jahangir's orders. This incident created a permanent and sharp divide between the Mughal throne and the Sikh community. Jahangir also dealt with rebellions inside his own family, especially from his son Khusrau. Yet, despite the conflicts, he kept the empire running and maintained the system Akbar had built. He ruled for about 22 years before his death in 1627. After Jahangir's death, his son Shah Jahan rose to the throne, but his path wasn't easy. During Jahangir's last years, real power was in the hands of Nur Jahan, Jahangir's wife. She dominated the court, controlled decisions, and tried to place her own son-in-law on the throne. Shah Jahan rebelled against her influence, and for a while, he was pushed out of the political circle. Only after Jahangir's death and the collapse of Nur Jahan's faction did Shah Jahan finally claim the crown. As emperor, Shah Jahan took the empire to its peak, building grand monuments like the Taj Mahal and ruling over a wealthy, stable kingdom. But his ending was tragic. His son Aurangzeb overthrew him, imprisoned him in Agra Fort, and Shah Jahan died there in 1666. Now you all may wonder why Aurangzeb feels like a dark patch in Mughal history. Despite ruling for 49 long years, his rule was terrifying and oppressive. The damage he caused cannot even be fully described here. He finally died in 1707. After that, the real Mughal decline began. The rulers who followed Aurangzeb were Bahadur Shah, Jahandar Shah, Farrukhsiyar Muhammad Shah, Ahmed Shah, Alamgir Shah, Akbar, and finally Bahadur Shah, the last Mughal ruler. One after another, these kings failed to consolidate power, and the empire kept weakening. The last Mughal ruler, Bahadur Shah, was exiled to Burma, also called Myanmar, after the British shot his sons and crushed the last resistance. And with that, the story of the Mughal Empire finally came to an end. Thank you.